Hello, good morning. My name is Agnieszka Bożenska and I am the host of the interview series Living from the Inside Out. And this place is created for people and with people who are determined to impact their life and the life of other people. And in every interview, we have a special guest. And today I want to give a very warm welcome to our guest, Kasia Michaels. Kasia is happiness expert. Kasia, I'm very happy to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you, Agnieszka. I'm very happy to inaugurate your series about interviewing different experts on topics that are really close to heart to you and to many of your clients and your listeners. My name is Kasia Michaels, and I'm the happiness coach. I run a Facebook group on a Facebook group called Daily Happiness. And I run live workshops on happiness. I've run a few in Frankfurt, where I used to live, and I'm about to run the first one in Brussels, where I just moved this month, basically. So it's a new step for me. Very exciting.
How are you, Kasia, today?
I'm doing great. The weather's nice. Enjoying life, enjoying Belgian summer. That is not always the most sunny, but today is a very nice day. I'm really happy for it.
Very nice, very nice. Okay, Kasia, shall we start?
Yes, let's go ahead and talk about
Okay, I'm super interested in what you are doing. Kasia, let us know, who is a happiness coach? How can you help people? And actually, who do you help?
Okay, so a happiness coach is basically somebody who can help you figure out what happiness is for you, what you can do to increase your happiness. There are several strategies that help us increase our happiness daily. Those strategies are that I work with are based mostly on positive psychology, and I also add some of mine from my own experience from talking to my clients and just observing, learning about the human nature. So a happiness coach will hold you accountable, because in those very very fast years, fast days that we live right now, we don't have time sometimes to stop and think about our happiness. We're so busy with our work, with our personal life, dealing with our family, that we don't really take the time to actually get some awareness and find out what makes us happy, what makes us really fulfilled, what makes our life worth living. And a happiness coach will help you with that. Also, a happiness coach will offer you some shortcuts, because sometimes when you read the book, it takes a while, but a happiness has read most of the books, if not all. Well, probably not all, because there are so many of them, but has read most of them, and can kind of give you the gist of, and the shortcuts. Sometimes offer blind spots, sometimes show you the blind spots that
right.
and help you look at yourself from a different perspective. So I think that's important, and also to dream big, because that's what coaching. I think that coaching is kind of helping other people dream bigger. Because sometimes we are conditioned by our families, by our education, by our society, kind of to dream small, and not to have this big vision that we want to achieve. So a happiness coach, any coach probably, but when we talk about happiness, a happiness coach will help you dream big about what kind of happiness you want for yourself and what you can do daily to increase it.
Right. I like what you've said, that coach can give you shortcuts. And I remember I was in one coaching workshop, I think, or seminar, and the host said, if you want shortcuts, go to a coach. Kasia, how do you define happiness?
So I think, happiness is one of those words that is very fluid, and everybody has a kind of definition of happiness for themselves. I really like the definition of positive psychology, because I think it's very encompassing. It really gives us a good basis for how we can see happiness. So according to positive psychology, there are two components. There's this kind of daily happiness kind of hedonic happiness, things that make us feel joy, feel pride, kind of like the small things. And then there's this other component, which is more about having this feeling that your life makes sense, that your life is worth living, that, this kind of engagement in our activities. And these two together, this is really what happiness is about.
Wow, sounds very nice. So I would like now to know what is getting in the way of our happiness, actually.
Sometimes I think that we are our own worst enemy, right? So I would say, first of all, maybe the fact that we don't really understand, a lot of people still don't understand that happiness is in our hands, that we as human beings can practice those strategies, those activities to increase our happiness, because some people still have those myths. There are several myths about happiness. One of them is about that you're either born with it or not.
Yeah.
Partly it's true, because about 50% of our happiness is based on our genes, but there's the 40% which we can actually do something about. So that's one of the myths that prevents us from actually being happy. Some other myths are, for example, that happiness depends on our circumstances. We think that, okay, you have to be rich, you have to have a wonderful job, you have to be married to the Prince Charming that you've been waiting for to be happier. And that's not true, because only 10% of our happiness depends on our circumstances. There were great studies showing, like how people who won a lottery and how people who had major accidents, how they kind of, after a while, came back to their base set point of happiness, which shows that, if your life happens to turn terribly, or if your life happens wonderful, to have a wonderful turn because you win $1 million, it's still, in the long run, it won't make you either much happier or much less happy. So I think there are those myths. Another myth is that we have to go on some kind of quest. Sometimes people think, oh, I will move to a different country, or I will go on this spiritual journey. A spiritual journey is great, but you cannot really expect that if you travel to India, suddenly you will become happier. It really is kind of daily, regular activities.
Right. I remember like 1 decade ago, I was really focused on searching for happiness, looking for happiness, understanding how can I create it. And I found out that actually it depends on me. It depends on me. It depends on other things, but mostly it depends on me, because I think it goes back to our choices that we do. So Kasia, what things or maybe what changes can we make to become happier, to enhance our happiness?
I mean, there are some very small things sometimes. One of the things that actually, and it may sound trivial, but one of the things that we can do to feel happier is actually to work a little bit on our breathing, to focus on our breathing, because the way we breathe reflects how we feel. So if we have, if we like make our breaths a little bit longer, a little bit deeper, that calms us down. And when we are calmer, we are more ready to experience the best of life. When you're stressed, you cannot really feel, when you're very like chronically stressed for a long time, you cannot really experience much happiness. So just extend your breathing, take the time during the day to, maybe you can even mark it in your calendar, put an alarm on your phone to remind yourself to breathe a little bit, to extend and deepen your breaths during the day. And there are some things that kind of seem obvious, and people, have been talking about them, but like often we don't take time to do them, which is, for example, meditation, taking just 5-10 minutes in the morning. For me, it's something that I incorporated in my morning routine, and I really, really see the results. I have 2 teenage daughters. Well, one is a preteen, and then the other one is a teenager. And sometimes, you know, like being a busy mom, I lose my patience a little bit. So this kind of daily meditation, especially when I do it in the morning, first of all, it helps me become calmer. It gets me some focus. And then in the morning, sometimes like when I feel bad about maybe raising my voice or about not being very patient the night before, when I do this meditation in the morning, sometimes I do like forgiveness meditation or love and kindness meditation. And that, first of all, brings like more love and kindness to myself, which is really something that we need for our happiness.
Right.
But also it
Definitely
helps me forgive myself for, you know, being human, for not being perfect, for sometimes losing my patience with my kids. So I really love this, you know, short, very short, it's really like 5 to 10 minutes in the morning. I mean, a big part of our happiness is actually social, keeping social relations, like having social ties that are strong, either with our family, with our friends, you know, it can be our pets also, because there are studies showing that this is the most important part of our happiness, you know, having people around us, people that we love, people that we enjoy being with. Hugging people, you know, is something that like it depends where you live, but there are some countries, like recently I lived in Germany, where you live right now, and it's very different, you know, how people kind of touch each other. In France and in Brussels, people kiss each other when they see themselves, and not even after a long time, you know, it can just like happen every day when you're even at work. And in Germany, it's more like, okay, you shake hands, even touch yourself, but you know, touching, giving hugs to the loved ones is very important. Like I also incorporated a few years ago, hugging my kids and my husband in the morning and in the evening, you know, before going to sleep. And I think it really is something that makes me happier, because when you hug somebody, your emotions, positive emotions rise. So
I love it. I love it.
You know, there are a lot of them. One important thing about happiness is that you have to kind of experiment with it. You know, you take your time, you have to be patient, you have to see what fits your lifestyle, what really, you know, makes you happier, because there are lots of strategies, but maybe you don't have time, you know, to incorporate all of them. And maybe you don't have to, because maybe in some parts of your life, you already feel happy, and then you don't need it. So, you know, like often in life, at work, we are told to focus on our strengths, which is something that I also really, talk about. But in happiness, sometimes it's actually better to focus on your weaknesses and to work on your weaknesses. So, for example, if you have very strong ties with your family, but you don't have time to take care of your body, you know, to sleep well, to exercise, then this is something that you need to focus on, you know, exercising daily. Again, doesn't have to be, you know, long time in the gym, but just taking the time to walk a little bit, to be in nature, to take the elevator instead of taking the elevator, take the stairs, to park. If you drive a lot, maybe park a little bit further from your office and just walk a little bit, things like that.
Amazing. You shared really many interesting tools, and they are actually absolutely not complicated. They are simple truths, like you've mentioned: forgiveness meditation, kindness meditation, or hugging. I remember I don't do it anymore, but in the past I used to hug myself like in front of the mirror, and it was not only funny, but it was really like kind of like a kindness to myself. It was working.
Yeah.
What else you've mentioned, if we can summarize, like hugging our children or partner or even pets, or exercising, you've mentioned, right? Yeah.
Care of our body is very, very, very important. Being mindful. I think this is something that when I talk to my clients, most of them have this one problem, that it's hard to focus, you know, and they are doing many things. Multitasking. Right now, I think there are so many people talking about how multitasking actually decreases our productivity. There are studies showing that if you do two things at once, it decreases your productivity by about 10%. But if you do three things at once, it decreases it even more. Yeah. So things like that, you know, trying to be mindful, trying to take the time, like, for example, when we shower or when we eat, or when we brush our teeth, you know, taking the time not to think, not to plan our day, but to actually be in the moment and feel how the water runs, you know, on our body.
I love it. Yeah.
What happens
Yeah.
when it's cold, you know, like I learned that from Tony Robbins, that he does the cold shower. I mean, I do like what I do in the take a warm shower and then I take a cold shower. And I know that he goes into some kind of very cold
I saw it
or something like that. Yeah. I don't do anything that crazy, but I do this cold shower, and that, you know, first of all, it wakes me up in the morning. Second, I really feel my body more, because, you know, you feel the sensation. So just taking the time of, you know, being more mindful in simple activities that we do every day, you know, like showering, eating, brushing your teeth, things like that. I think that's very important. Not avoiding multitasking as much as you can. I mean, there's some multitasking that is okay when you engage to different parts of your body. So for example, if you hang the laundry and listen to a podcast or a novel or our interview, it's fine. But if you, for example, you know, write a report and talk to somebody,
yeah,
you'll lose your productivity. So it's better to just really finish one task and then start another.
I really love what you share. I'm also very big on mindfulness. I've started to practice mindfulness meditation 3 years ago, and it literally changed my life. And I really started small, like 5, 7, 8 minutes a day. And you know what I want to share with you? I have here now at home my nephew, and we've meditated 3 days ago. I kind of just, you know, invited him, come on, let's do a meditation with me. We will just do it for 5 minutes and you will hear the ring, and then we will stop. You just need to close your eyes and just focus on breathing. And we did it. And then I asked him, so did you like it? And he said, yes, I like it. And I asked why? Because it was so peaceful and calm. And he's just 9 years old. And you know what yesterday happened? It was like maybe 5 p.m. He was on the balcony, and it was like maybe 6 or 7 p.m. He put around himself candles, and he started to meditate like that, you know, in the lotus position. And I was like, what is that? I was blown away.
Wow.
And I didn't say anything. It was his idea. He went there, he sat, and he started to meditate. And then he came back to me. I didn't show up. I didn't show him that I saw him. He came to me, he was smiling, he was very peaceful, at ease, and I thought, incredible stuff, really, like,
yes.
So, yeah.
You know, first of all, they learn so quickly, so much from observing us, but they also teach us so many things, and they are so natural in what they do. So
yeah.
I have a certificate in teaching meditation to children, which now I kind of put on the side because I'm busy with coaching and, you know, moving and all that. But I did, for my certificate, I did several sessions with like individual kids and groups of kids for mostly, I think it was between the ages of like 10 and 13, something like that. And it was just amazing how kids are, first of all, they know about meditation. You know, so many kids already learn a little bit about it at school and some other places, and they're just so receptive. And the things that they share, because after each meditation we would talk a little bit about like your emotions, you know, what you felt and things like that.
Yeah.
The things they share is so enriching and really beautiful. So yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Kasia, am I living the life I choose for myself, or it is someone else's ideal?
Well, I guess you're not asking me about your life, your personal life, but life in general, right?
Yeah.
You know, I was actually reading an interview with a Polish philosopher recently who was talking about choices and how so many things that we think that we choose for ourselves actually are already chosen. You know, even if we say that, like, about our political views, even if we say that, like, you know, I'm right wing or I'm left wing, we kind of choose maybe the name of it, but what is the definition of it is already chosen, and we kind of just go, you know, maybe from one side to another. So yeah, it's really, you know, when you look at your life choices, especially with schooling, you know, later with getting a job, you know, things like that, if you don't stop and think about it, if you don't stop and take some awareness, and that's why where coaching is great, because, you know, when you have an hour with your coach, he or she can actually make you stop, you know, can make you think about things like your life purpose, you know, your life mission, like what do you want to be remembered by, things like that. So, I mean, I really think that your life with your intrinsic goals, you know, the goals that you actually bring about yourself, this is the life worth living. Because if you look at people who, for example, young people who went to college to study something that their parents told them to do.
Yeah.
Most of them, you know, I mean, maybe not most of them, but many of them actually become quite successful. But do they really, is it really in the zone of genius?
Right.
I don't know. Some of them may learn it at some point to really love it and to really enjoy it. But I think it's very important to know, you know, what you do, does it really come authentically from you, from your inside? Does it really come from, you know, your vision, your life, your dream? To be able to be sure that we live our own dream and not our parents' dreams or the dreams of our society and things like that. So yeah, like looking at your intrinsic goals is very, very important, and living authentically, which is, you know, sometimes it's not easy when we are busy with our life, you know, we're like, okay, I'm, you know, going from work to home without taking the time. It's really hard to figure it out.
Yeah. I'm happy that you are mentioning that, because that was the same exact motivation what I decided to come up with that series, Living from the Inside Out. Like, what is our zone of genius? What are our intrinsic talents and gifts? What's our life about? What do we want to do? Yeah, what do we desire to do? Not what we think we should because somebody told us, but us.
Right.
And when you, Kasia, hang around with your people, or maybe when you talk to your clients, what do you hear, or what do you see that they say or do that adds to their happiness? Or what do they say or do, or how they behave that it detracts from their happiness?
I think that one of the most important thing, and maybe more for women than for men, is our self-criticism. Because we are often so hard on ourselves, you know, we have this inner critic in us, and if we listen to him or her, it's like feeding, you know, there's this tale about two dogs, you know, one is a beautiful puppy and the other one is this very violent, mean dog. And, you know, which dog will grow faster and will grow better? Of course, the one that you will feed. So if you feed your happy puppy in yourself, you know, saying to yourself, okay, you know, sometimes I screw up, sometimes I'm not the best mom, sometimes I say something stupid in a work meeting, you know, something out of ordinary, and you know, that my boss will kind of smile weirdly about. Giving yourself forgiveness is something that is very important, because if we feed the inner critic, if we strive for perfection always, you know, perfection doesn't really exist. It doesn't really exist anywhere in nature. You know, we have sometimes this idea of being perfect, but it just drives us crazy. You know, we have to, instead of perfection, we should think about progress, you know, just like trying to be the best that we can do, but without this pressure of being perfect, you know, because we are human. And you know, I think life is the world we live in right now is pretty hard enough to be hard on yourself. So I think definitely that being yourself, you know, the self-criticism is the worst thing, especially for women. I think men somehow are a little bit more, I don't know, they are not so hard on ourselves, on themselves. But I see in many of my clients who are, you know, they work, they have families, Some of them don't have families, but they work and they try to have a social life. And you know, if something doesn't go well at work or with their friends, they're very happy. They're very fast to kind of you know, be mean on themselves and being very, very hard. So like, this is something that we try to really that we really try to stress, that you know, give yourself this forgiveness. There's meditation forgiveness, but there are some other ways more forgiving, like even just what you said about hugging to yourself, you know, having a nice chat with yourself, just as you would with a friend, you know, because you would not tell your friend, oh, you did it again, you're so mean, you're so stupid, right?
Yeah.
You would encourage your friend. So being your best is something that helps us feel happier lives, basically.
Right. And now I want to ask you, do you have an activity or maybe a practice, I don't know, one simple thing that you do that enhance your happiness?
There are several. I mean, definitely having this morning ritual of I do the meditation, and I also do a little bit of yoga. When you sit a lot, and you know, these days we often sit at the desk. Even when you work from home, you do sit a lot, and I have some backache. So when I do my yoga exercises, stretching in the morning, that helps me be more flexible and, you know, reduce my back problems. So definitely having this ritual of in the morning, it makes me happier. Gratitude, and actually there are some studies showing that it's enough sometimes to be grateful only once a week. So I do it with my children, usually on Sundays. We talk about things that we are grateful for, and it's like things that we're grateful for to ourselves, and also to other people, to the universe, you know, to God, whatever you believe in. And this is a nice exercise that sometimes, especially in the beginning, they were like, you know, mommy is with her psychological idea.
Yeah.
But I can see that actually they enjoy it, and sometimes the things that they tell me about is really enriching, and I'm part of it. So I also tell them about, you know, what I'm grateful for. Going out in nature also is something happier. And now I have a garden. We just moved into a house, which I really enjoy. So just like looking outside, you know, yesterday my new neighbor knocked on my door suddenly, and she asked me if I wanted some prunes from her plums from her garden. So I made some, like, it wasn't a lot, but I just made some jam with prunes. And we have a little apple tree here, so I went and I picked up some apples and you know, things like that. So just looking at green things, it makes us happier. It makes us more creative. And if you have a little area of greenery near your house, whether it's your garden, whether it's a park, whether it's a forest, you know, it's great to go there and just kind of like be in nature and take this energy and you know, be more open and feel that you are part of the nature. You're part of this great energy around you.
I so much agree with you. I have here also a garden, and you know what? Sometimes squirrels come here, and I see also eagles because I live close to a botanic garden.
Wow.
And it's just beautiful, just because of that green color, blue sky, piece of the nature, and already I feel much better. It's just enough every morning to go out, just take 5 or 6 breaths, and it really sets I just feel better. I just feel elevated, lifted up. Kasia, I would like to ask you if you could give to our viewers maybe one simple practical tool how that they can apply, that they can maybe introduce to their life so that they become happier.
So many things that I would like to talk about.
You've already mentioned many things, like basic things, and sometimes we forget about them, that they can help us be happier.
I think accepting is also something that we have trouble with. And I think accepting things the way they are is also very, very helpful, because when we don't accept something, we spend a lot of energy fighting against it. And when we fight against it, we definitely won't be happier. So just accepting life the way it is, the reality, accepting our emotions, accepting our successes, our failures. I think this is a big part of being happier. And accepting doesn't mean that that you don't change things, because the acceptance is kind of like the first step to change. But accepting just means that, okay, this is the way it is, there's no point fighting it. What can I learn from it? What lesson can I have for myself? Can I draw for myself from it? And also, is there something I can do about it? Because there's so many things that we cannot control, and the things that we cannot control, there's no point focusing on them. And we sometimes, we complain and focus so much about the weather, and sometimes we say, it's raining, so I'm not going to have a happy day. But, there's nothing you can do about the weather. You can just take a look at it and you can change your attitude. You can accept it, first of all, and then you can change your attitude, and then you can, maybe give yourself some kind of treat to counterbalance, the fact that it's raining or that it's cloudy and things like that. So accepting yourself, not fighting with your emotions, because not suppressing them, because that sometimes when I talk to my clients, there are ways of suppressing your emotions, like, I don't know, sometimes it's drinking, sometimes it's overworking, sometimes it's overeating, things like that. Emotions, our negative emotions are here to tell us something again, to teach us something. And there are ways to release them. And actually, this is another myth of happiness. Some people say that when you're happy, you don't have any negative emotions, but it's true, because negative emotions are just part of our life. We have to have some kind of, we have to have this balance of negative and positive emotions. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to learn. We wouldn't know us happier. So when we have negative emotions, first of all, we need to listen to our body and see, what's happening in our body. When we have this negative emotions, we're probably breathing very fast, very shallowly. What's going on? Why am I feeling like that? And other ways to release those emotions. If it's anger, sometimes we need to be physical. We need to really go boxing, do something, box in the air, or really go to a boxing lesson, or boxing class, or, we really need to go out and shout a little bit and, do something like that. When we have emotions like sadness, sometimes we need to cry, it's okay to be sad. We don't have to be, all kind of happy-go-lucky all the time. We need to give ourselves this permission to accept ourselves and accept our life the way it is, and then see if there's something we can do about it. If it's outside of our control, that's it. There's nothing we can do. We just have to accept and be and be happy with what we have, and look at some other areas that can make us happy.
So acceptance and looking at our emotion, not suppressing them, and treating them as a kind of feedback and reminder from life, and maybe even addressing, hey, what's going on? Where are you today? What are you trying to tell me? Right. Super valuable. Kasia, where can we find you?
Well, you can find me at my website, which is kasiamichaels.com, and it's spelled Kasia, Kasia, and then Michaels, Michels. It's one word, and then it's .com. You can also join my Facebook group called Daily Happiness. I try to be there daily. Sometimes it's not easy, especially with the move, but I try to offer some good tips, and the group is really very lively and very fun. So, and you can also connect with me on Facebook, Kasia Michaels. I'm there.
Thank you, Kasia, for accepting my invitation, for sharing with us your knowledge, your experience, and your marvelous tools and tips and insights. Thank you very much. And for those of you who will watch the recording on YouTube or other social medias, remember to check out kasiamichaels.com or Facebook group Daily Happiness, right?
Right.
And guys, if you are interested in knowing who is our next guest, remember to check my Facebook business page, Agnieszka Bożencka Coaching, or my webpage, agnieszkabożencka.com. Kasia, thank you very much, and see you soon.
For a great conversation, for your really insightful questions, and for inviting me. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
It has been a pleasure at my side. Thank you, Kasia. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye.